Hey guys, and welcome to That Was History. I'm Jeremy Payne, and I'm going to be doing the intro before Cliff gets here.
Well, I'm here, and I don't think you're doing my intro for me.
That's what we discussed last week.
I don't think we discussed anything. I always do the intro.
I'm doing the...
Nope, you don't. Nope. Intro me.
No.
Right now, I do the intro.
Fine, I'll stand where I stood last week.
Well, now that we've got Jeremy off the screen, we can get this thing started the right way with me right here doing the intro as we usually do it. We've got these great topics this week, and you're going to want to check those out. We've got a lot of great stuff we're talking about, like Napoleon Bonaparte and Titanic and a lot of other good stuff. So we're going to learn some history today, guys, and you'll be able to take this information with you and share it with your friends and family. All right, let's get started. Our first topic for the day deals with something that a lot of people are skittish about and a lot of parents don't like thinking about when it deals with their children. I'm talking, of course, about PDA, otherwise known as public display of affection. In today's society, this is pretty well accepted, where you'll have couples who like to hold hands or maybe they'll kiss in public, and there always seems to be that one couple in the back of the movie theater that everyone tries to ignore. No one seems to do anything about it, and they just try to move on with their day. And as with a lot of other things, this acceptance of PDA has developed over time. Several hundred years ago, this would definitely not be something that was acceptable in society. Take Naples, Italy, for example. This community had quite the different taste when it came to PDA several hundred years ago. You had better not get caught kissing in public or else you were in for it. Isn't that right, Jeremy?
Yeah, man. I mean, they outlawed it on March 9th of 1562. And I mean, they went as far as to make it punishable by death. Now, I could see that they wanted to cut out some of the PDA and all that stuff if someone was, like, making out in public. But just for a kiss? I mean, come on.
In present-day society, I think it's safe to say that the world has pretty much been mapped out. Every country has their own set of land, and pretty much all countries accept these universal borders that separate them. Obviously, this has not always been the case, and North America is one of the best examples of this. The United States was formed over many years with most of the middle and western land being purchased from other countries. On March 10th of 1804, a formal ceremony was held to celebrate the transfer of the Louisiana Purchase from the French to the United States. This would give the U.S. 828,000 square acres of land, and it would only cost them $15 million. In 2012 currency, this comes out to roughly $233 million, which is still only 43 cents per acre.
Napoleon Bonaparte, we all know him as the great emperor who wanted to strengthen the French Empire. Ultimately, his lust for power would cost him his empire, as he would have to surrender to the British after being defeated at the Battle of Waterloo. On a different note, all great leaders aspire to have someone to take over their throne after they pass away, or even if they're as much as killed. Well, in order to do so, the middle-aged Napoleon would ultimately have to get married. Now, from my standpoint, and your standpoint maybe as well, you go out and you find someone that's your own age, then you date them for a little while, you fall in love, get engaged, and ultimately then you get married. Back in Napoleon's day and time, that just wasn't how it was done. Marriages were actually arranged. On March 11th of 1810, Napoleon would marry Austrian Archduchess Maria Louisa by proxy in Vienna. This match was arranged by Austrian Foreign Minister Metternich. Now at the time, Maria was 18, but Napoleon was in his middle 40s. The hope in this was that the little corporal, as I'd already mentioned, would actually father an heir to his throne.
When I say Fireside Chat, a few of you in our audience are actually going to remember the Fireside Chats that Jeremy and I have done in the past. These episodes were inspired by the true Fireside Chats that Franklin D. Roosevelt broadcast over the radio when he was president. His first chat was on March 12th of 1933. In this broadcast, FDR asked the American people to keep faith in their country and their banking system. He also encouraged people to keep their money in the bank where it was safe. Keep in mind that the Great Depression was lurking around during this time period. Due to their friendly and very informative nature, many people have speculated that FDR's Fireside Chats helped him win 4 terms in office and serve his country for 12 years and 39 days.
So I hear you have a pretty good baseball team.
Yeah, we have a decent team.
So who's on first?
Correct.
What's the guy's name on first?
No, he's on second.
Then who's on first?
Yes.
You got a pitcher?
Yeah, we got a pitcher.
What's his name?
Tomorrow.
Why aren't you going to tell me today?
Because he's our catcher.
No, I'm a pretty good catcher, so say tomorrow's pitching and I'm catching. So the pitcher pitches the ball, the batter bunts the ball.
All right.
I pick up the ball and I throw it to first. Who has it?
Naturally.
So I pick up the ball, and I throw it naturally.
No, you throw it to who?
Naturally. So I pick up the ball, I throw it to naturally.
No, you throw it to who?
Naturally. So I pick up the ball, and I throw it to whoever has it on first. They throw it to what? And they throw it to I don't know on third. And they throw it back to tomorrow. Triple play.
Could be.
Tell me, you got an outfield?
Yes, we got an outfield.
Who's the left fielder?
No, he's on first.
Would you stay out of the infield? What you just saw was a poor rendition of the actual Who is on First. This was actually copyrighted on March 13th of 1944 by Abbott and Costello.
One of the best ways to earn your wealth and make a name for yourself is to invent something that will help people make their lives easier. People will line up at your door to purchase something if it'll make their lives just a tad bit more relaxed. Eli Whitney certainly embraced this idea when he invented the cotton gin. This mechanism made it possible to easily and quickly separate cotton fibers from their seeds. This would allow for greater production in comparison to their manual separation counterparts. This device was a must-have for cotton growers and sellers during this time period. And because of this, Eli Whitney patented his mechanism on March 14th of 1794. This is probably the best decision he ever made.
We can all remember the day that the Titanic collided with an iceberg, which caused water to rush in and ultimately sank the ship. With all her glory, all 2,224 passengers and crew members would go down with the ship, and most of them would die on that day of April 15th of 1912. Well, many years after the fact, after much research and preparation, there was a movie that came out. This movie was called The Titanic, and it was about a boy who came from rags, he got to go on the Titanic, and ultimately he fell in love with a rich girl. It's a tragic and touching love story that we've all come to love and adore. This movie at its time on March 15th of 1998 well surpassed its predecessor Star Wars in becoming one of the top grossing movies in the North American box offices. If you look at today's box office, you'll see that Avatar is on top above Titanic. But if you take away inflation rates over the years, you'll see that Titanic surpasses all and still would remain one of the top movies of all time.
Alright guys, that's going to do it for this episode. We hope that you enjoyed all the stuff we had in there for you. Be sure to leave us a comment and tell us, hey, what was your favorite topic that we discussed today? Alright, see you next Friday, guys.
Please follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and also hit that subscribe button. And remember, who's on first? So who's on first?
No, just no. We're not talking about this anymore. This episode is officially done with, guys.
So who's on first? Who's on first? Who's on first?
I don't know!
Third base.
Third base.
That's good, actually.